Hi there, it's Carl Irwin, the Common Magician, and I've got something interesting to show you. This is actually a re-upload of an idea that I posted just a day ago. I had it up for a little bit, and then I deleted it. I took it down because I felt that I said too much. I felt that I gave a little too much away. Not really related to my material, but related to some references that I was making. So I'm re-uploading this, and I'm going to just give a little less information, at least in the background and some of the influence here. Normally, you think about doing references in magic as being a good and appropriate thing. And it is a good and appropriate thing unless that those references tip off too much. Okay, so that's kind of what I felt was going on there. So I'll give you some references, at least in terms of some inspiration for what I've got going on here today. But I'm not going to say quite as much as I said before. So I'm not going to hold your hand all the way through this. You're going to have to sort a little bit out on your own. But I'll share with you the idea and how I got to the idea. And some of you aren't even going to like this. Some of you are just going to discard this and feel that it's not really your kind of thing. And that's fine. But it is something that I've been playing around with. So let me show you first what it is. I've got a deck of cards here. And I need you to think of any card. But before I have you do that, I have a question for you. Are you familiar with the term doppelganger? Right? It's a term that's become kind of mixed into pop culture, but it's an older term that actually refers to like a ghost or an apparition, a likeness of somebody. So a duplication of somebody else. And it could be an evil duplication. It could be a very close likeness. It could be a ghost, kind of likeness, but it is a likeness of somebody, a copy of them. In pop culture, we use this to refer to people that look like other people, usually related to celebrities. So, Tom Cruise, everybody knows his face, right? And someone who looks out of the general population who looks like him, we would refer to them as his doppelganger, okay? His copy. And it's not exactly the likeness, but it's like a perfect, sort of representation that is not actually the person. That's the idea. So you've heard this before and you get it, you understand. So I want you to think of any card, and we'll consider that term here in a minute. So you've got one in mind. Now, you're not here right now, and there's no way to do this really honestly without doing some kind of random selection. So I've got a deck of cards here that is shuffled. Everything's in there. You just take my word for it. This is really not essential to the trick. It truly is a true free selection. So we'll just kind of dribble and stop and see what we get. I've got 5 of spades, and I'll pop that out just so that we can see that there. So 5 of spades is what we're thinking about. The next thing I need you to do is to name a number. Now, there's 52 cards in a deck. This is a deck of cards, complete deck of cards, and there's 52 total possibilities. Now, I don't want a small number, and I don't want a huge number at all. So because this can get very silly or very boring depending on the extreme. So I would say pick a number somewhere between 20 and 40, or maybe 15, 45, somewhere in that. Some big wide range somewhere in the middle just to make this interesting. In order to do that, I've got a pair of dice. Now, this does not give us all the options, but it's the best I can do. You truly would have a free selection there to name a number. So we roll here, see if we can get anything that's suitable in that range. And we'll roll this one. So we've got a 6. And we'll say 36. Okay, so 36. What we're going to do here is we're going to... I'm going to have you count from the deck here. But what I want you to do is I want you to count from the top. Okay, and you're going to deal face up so we can see all of the cards. And I want you to stop at 35. Stop one short at 35, okay, and deal them face up. So you go ahead and do that. You would count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, excuse me, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. We'll stop right there. Now, you'll notice if you were paying attention as we went through this, we saw the card you're thinking of, the 5 of spades, right? But remember at the beginning, I asked you a question. Are you familiar with the term, right? The doppelganger. We're not looking for your card. We're looking for the likeness of your card. We're looking for that card that is closely associated and is really the same identity in every way except for some subtle difference, right? A really, really good copy. So instead of, for example, you have the five of spades, which I saw somewhere in there back here. You have the five of spades is black hair, right? Crew cut. This one will have maybe a different color hair, different style. Black curly hair. Five of clubs. So this is a really cheap out for any card at any number. And I justify the idea on the existence of mate revelations, right? You have a card and then you find its mate. And there's many variations on that trick, right? That trick exists. This is not, I'm not inventing a revelation. That actually exists. So that's one of the inspirations here. The other one is an idea that I came upon from Mark Paul that really is great, except for the fact that it's limited in terms of what you can do with the cards afterward. His idea, which is based on a couple of very old ideas, so he's not the originator of this, and I won't get much more into that because I think that's where I was saying a little too much in the original upload. His idea requires that you really give in to a particular kind of card magic and you only do that kind of card magic and you forsake any other kind of tricks. And I'm not willing to do that. I want to be able to use a full deck of cards and be able to move on from here and do other stuff. So I was thinking about the idea he presented, though, and then I realized that the stack that I carry, the one that I have on Penguin, the common stack, already has attributes that closely resemble this situation. My stack has a 10-card repeating sequence. Now, they're not the same cards. They are different cards, but they're the same values in a 10-card sequence. They go round and round and round. There's a cycle. One section does not follow that, but 4 out of 5 sections in the deck do that. And because that is the case, my stack was well equipped to do exactly what you saw here. Do a revelation with minimal adjustment, easily forgotten adjustment, or no adjustment at all in a lot of cases, to reveal a mate card to a thought of card, or the card that's thought of. So that's a possibility as well. So what I have here is a 10-card sequence. And I have my 10-card sequence. It's not exactly what I have going on, because in my stack, this is where I'm not going to hold your hand. You got to sort this out for yourself. In my stack, I can cut at a point and move a section with another section, and then I'm set up to do this so that I have a range from really 15 up to 45. Now, I call it 20 to 40, and then I backtrack and I say really 15, like 15 to 45 is big range in there, right? But a person can pick a number anywhere in that range, and with just a little bit of adjustment, no more than 5 cards from the top to the bottom or the bottom to the top, I can get one of the cards that is either the card they thought of or is one of the 4 of a kind, is a mate either by color or just within that value grouping, right? An opposite color but related card, right? And that's a pretty good reveal, in my mind, coming from a deck of cards directly out of the box and nothing more than a spread, and what is remembered to be nothing more than a close of a spread and then dealing. Now, alternatively, you could do a false shuffle to maintain a stack, right? You could do false shuffles and cuts or something like that, and do that ahead of time, and then have them make some selections and then make your adjustment. The adjustment I'm showing you here is the only one I'm going to talk about. Now, you can adjust this many other ways in terms of dealing or something like that. And I'd leave that, again, I'm not going to hold your hand. I'll leave that to you. I'm just sharing the idea. But what I do is I spread, and whenever I pick up, I make my mathematical adjustment by either leaving behind cards and then putting them on top, or picking up the spread and going to the top and stopping early, and picking up short and then dropping on top of that, which is the table shift, open table shift kind of concept, right? So here's how the mathematics work on it. You do your own 10-card sequence. I'm not going to show you mine. I've talked about this on other videos. I have a way of remembering cards in a 10-card value sequence and thinking about the suits. You don't even need to know the suits. You don't even, for this reveal, you don't even need to know the suits. Either it's going to hit dead on and it's the doppelganger, or you can show it and you can say, well, it's the doppelganger. There's always something a little bit off about them. And you premise that in the language as you head up to this, so that you're giving yourself an out in the use of that term and how you define it, if that makes sense. Okay, so this is a multiple out kind of situation where you're setting the premise that can go one of two ways. It can either be a dead-on hit likeness of the card you're thinking of, or it can be a dead-on hit as a likeness of the card that you're thinking of, right? And it's amazing either way you look at it. So you come up with your own 10-card sequence. You want your 10-card sequence to run in positions 11 through 20, 21 through 30, 31 through 40, 41 to 50-ish. You might displace that last card, 50, and move it down to the first 10 cards, which are going to end up being 3 values that don't fit into this, because remember, there's 13 values. If you're going to come up with a 10-card cycle, you're going to leave 3 values out. For me, the values that I leave out in my stack, the common stack, the way I use it, are the queen, the 10, and the 3. So at the beginning of this, I have my remaining queens, 10s, and 3s that are not these spades. I put these spades on the face. Queen, 10, and 3. This is 50, 51, and 52. Queen, 10, 3. And I know that. I have that memorized. The other queens, 10s, and 3s I have at the top. And what I did is I just put one of the spare aces. It would be 50. I put that, this is the 10s position in my stack, so I'm giving you that. I put that in with the other remaining cards that I'm not using. Okay, the other 10s, queens, and 3s. But what I've done is that my other 10s, queens, and 3s are mixed up, jumbled up in a way that I can deal them face up. And if you just look at this, ace, queen, 3, nothing to see here. 3, well, that happens. You get pairs. They show up. Queen, well, close proximity. That's not a big deal, right? And then the next card is 10. So far, there is nothing alarming about this, right? There's nothing alarming. Even if I took some of the cards from the bottom, the 10, the queen, or the 3, and I put them on top for the adjustment, there really wouldn't be anything, because the ace shows up and then you get a 10 over here, right? And then I keep dealing. Queen, well, I can get a 3 of a kind in that range. Nothing to see here. 10, I've only seen one 10. This is only going to seem off-putting to you because you know it's there. Okay, but this concentration of 3 values, because they're clumped up, and here I see a 3 again, but I haven't seen one for a while. This will fly right by. You have to just trust me on this. I've dealt through this section in my particular stack many times. It never rings a bell. Okay, so you can have that. Now, what I do is I have any value can be called, and I can get to it using this number thing. However, if the 10, queen, or 3 are called out of any value, I just do a different reveal. I know that I have those on the face. If a 3 is called and I've done this doppelganger thing, I've got a great situation. I just have the cards sitting there. They've called my value, and I don't take it out until I talk about numbers. If they say 3, I say, go ahead and take the cards out, open up the box, take the cards out, set them down. You named the 3 of hearts. Now, with the doppelganger, as I said, there's usually something that's a little off about it. It's not an exact replication. right? The 3 of hearts that you're thinking of is like a redhead with a sharp crew cut, right? Turn over the deck. Here we find a brunette with a sharp crew cut, right? It's a likeness. It's a mate revelation. And it was always intended because of the premise. Again, some of you are really going to hate this. You're going to think this is a stretch, but it really isn't, because that trick already exists hundreds of times over, right? The mate revelation to a thought of card. Okay, that's what we're doing. So if it's a 3, I can do that. If it's the next one, the 10, I can say, look, if it's on top, I can't take credit for it, right? If it's on bottom, I wouldn't take credit for it. So we don't have it in any of these places. I've just displaced the card, and now the 10 is on the bottom. I say, go ahead and concentrate on that, and bam, there it is. And I can do the same thing just with 2 cards, right? I could say, if they name a queen, now I know that I have a queen here, but I've got one outlier. So I can say if it's not on the top, right, I wouldn't take credit for it. It's not on the bottom, right? It's not on the bottom. I wouldn't take credit for it. And I take 2 cards off and drop them, and now I can get to the queen and do a bottom reveal. Otherwise, here's the math. Okay, this is really what you've been waiting for. How does this work with 10 cards? Well, I'm only 5 cards away, adjustment, to get to any number called. So let's go through this real quick. I have my situation, 4 of spades. That's what they call. Doesn't matter where the 4 of spades is at. I might hit it dead on, I might not. Doesn't matter, okay, because this is a premised with that term, a likeness, a doppelganger, a copy, simulation of the identity they're thinking of. We're going for 20 to 40, really 15 to 45, and that gives them some latitude to really think that they have free choice. 5. Now, here's a good point. 3, so 35. Now, think about this for a minute. This card in my stack is actually going to be in the 4 position. So I'm giving you that, okay? My cycle has 4s in the 4th position. Not all the cards are like that, but this one is. All of the 4s are in the 4th position. I've got 14 in this stack because it starts at 11. 14, 24, 34, 44 are all going to be the 4s. This is 35. It's 1 more. So if we count to 35, I'm going to pass by the 4. This wouldn't work. I have to make a 1-card adjustment to land it right on. Let's say for a moment that this was 33, though. Let's say that this came up as... We'll come back to 35 in a second, but let's say that it's 33. Do I need to do an adjustment? If this is in the 4th position and this is 33... The answer is no. I don't need to adjust 1 card for this because I could count off 33 and then the next card is going to be a 4. So keep that in mind. If the number they call is 1 shy of where the card is in the stack, if you have to count down 1, from the card value in your 10-card cycle down to the number that they called, you don't need to do anything. You just stop at the number they called and the next card will be the reveal. Unless you want it to be right on, but personally I would say make it hands off and let it go. Okay? Do you understand? If it's 34, I don't need to do anything because this is in a 4th position. I'm going to hit a 4 value and I can do my reveal. It'll either be that card or it will be one of the other 4s. Okay? But in this case, it's 35. What I need to do is I need to count up. I'm going up. If I have to count up from their value to their number, the card needs to come from the bottom and go to the top. If I'm counting up, I need to make cards go up. If I have to count down, I need to make cards go down. I'm going to take cards from the top and put them on the bottom. Okay, so this one's really simple. What I need to do is I pick up my spread, and when I do that, I'm going to just kind of push off 1 card, pick up the spread, and then I'm going to come back, grab this card, and throw it on top, and I'm going to set the cards out there. And I'm going to say, I want you to deal from the top, face up, so we can see all of the cards. Okay, and that's what they'll do. So let's count down to this. And I say, stop at 34. Stop 1 short. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. They stop right there. Now you're thinking of the 4 of spades, and we're looking for the likeness, not the exact likeness, but something that's quite similar. Almost a dead ringer, except that one thing may be off. Okay. Now, because I know my stack, I know that this is going to be the 4 of diamonds. I know my stack. Okay. So what I can say is, if I know what it's going to, you don't have to do that. You can just show it and then, say, premise it that it's not exactly the same thing. It's a little bit different, right? But I actually know exactly what it is. So I can say, now yours, think about it as a black card, a black 4, kind of a sharp image, right? Like a black haircut, a black hairdo, a black hair crew cut, right? And this would be the same kind of thing, a sharp haircut, but maybe a redhead. Go ahead and turn it over, and you're going to get the 4 of diamonds. Okay, so that makes sense. So again, if you're going to count up, if you have to count up to get to it, you have to take cards from the bottom in that amount, the difference up to the top. If I have to count up 3 to get there, I need to leave behind 3 cards and move them from the bottom to the top. If I need to count down, I need to leave off 3 at the top. So when I spread this, what I do is I spread wide for the first 5 or 6 cards, then shallow, and then I spread off the top so I can see the top 5 cards very easily, and I know where to grab at. Okay, and I just spread sloppily in this way. Then it's very easy for me to make the mistake of picking up short or leaving off, dropping, and putting them back on top. So just an idea, a 10-card cyclical stack. Now, why bother doing a stack for just one kind of revelation? Well, as I teach with my stack, the common stack, which is available at Penguin, and the stack that I carry is one of the alternatives that's on there. I actually teach a couple variations on it. It's the simplified alternative is what I'm using right here. Other versions of the stack won't work from the common stack, but that particular one works well with this if you make some adjustments. Why would you do this? Well, a 10-card cyclical stack is really easy to memorize, which is why I did it that way for the common stack. So that's just an idea. If you don't have a mem deck, or you don't have a deck of cards that is at least memorized for certain attributes, either values in locations, at least that, or values and suits, I would invite you to consider making your own 10-card cycle. And then take your outliers and put them somewhere else into a 10-card sequence. Memorize those, and pretty much you're doing what I have created. You're doing that. Okay. Now my stack has attributes to it that are extremely easy to remember. I pick specific cards to go at numbers for very specific reasons, and I group suits together for very specific reasons, and that's what you get with my teaching and my 10-card cycle. But anyway, that was my idea that I want to share it with you. I want to at least share this out. And again, some of you will say that's not my style. I wouldn't do that, but it does give you an opportunity for universal type outs in a hands-off situation. You really have to do very little. Now, other options for this, instead of spreading and picking up and leaving cards behind, you could just say, I need you to deal some cards here in a minute, and then put them on the bottom. Or if you take the stack and pick it up, the deck, pick it up face up, you could say, I need you to deal some cards here in a minute, but actually I want you to do it from the top. Right? That oops kind of situation. And by doing that, turning them over, you actually keep everything in order, and it's easy to remedy your situation whenever you're done with the presentation. So you're stacking in a 10-card cycle, positions 11 through 50-ish. You might take one card off there at 50 and dump it on the bottom. You could have, I have my 3 and my 10 reveal here, and I might keep my queen or whatever your third outlier is on the top. And that's my reveal. And then that's less you have to do. So that's a possibility too, and that way you don't have to take one card and displace it. Again, this may be a little over some of your heads if you're not tracking with me, but I'm not going to hold your hand. I'm just going to explain the idea, leave it for you to run with. So anyway, Doppelganger. Just a thought I had based on a very good idea that Mark Paul put forward in a card magic, a whole card magic package. Where can you find this? Two places. You can find his presentation on the, actually it's three places, two that are available. One is not available anymore, I don't think. You can find it on his Vanishing Ink Masterclass, two-part masterclass, part 1. So this is on part 1. You can find it also on, as a trick download, I'll give you the name of it, is Affected by Burglas. So this particular idea, as it relates to his idea, is in that presentation. There's an old video for that that he had, and it's been updated by Big Blind Media. Liam Montier teaches it, so you can find that as well. So that's the inspiration, without saying too much more about it. But this version allows me to do the magic I want to do. With his, you just can't. You have to invest completely in his way of doing it. If you want to find his thoughts, I highly recommend the Vanishing Ink Masterclass over the trick download, because the Vanishing Ink Masterclass, he teaches way more with this idea, and you literally can just choose to do your card magic that way. I've thought about it. It's that good. I've thought about forgetting everything else and just carrying around a deck like that, because it's really that good. His situation that he's kind of designed. But I highly recommend that masterclass to learn that idea. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Good luck with that. Happy magicking.